Oh, the best lion of all was Michael's dear friend Bongo. How long did you have Bongo? He was such a...
Yeah, he was a gentleman. We were together for 14 years.
14.
Yeah, he was special. However, all the good things come to an end.
Well, we have some tape of
Oh, do you have some
Bongo.
tape of
Oh,
Bongo?
this will bring a tear to your eye, Michael. Where is he?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this is in the movie.
Yeah, this is in Africa. This was we were in the Sonyangalo Game Reserve up in Mpumalanga province in South Africa, where we shot Ghost in the Darkness.
Ghost in the Darkness.
Yeah, it was his finest hour.
Yeah,
I mean,
there he is.
Yeah, this is tough stuff. This is very difficult work, potentially dangerous, and he came through with shining colors.
He's a beautiful lion.
He was. Yeah, and unfortunately he got some cancer. And
well, in the wild, a male lion might last how long?
Oh, their shelf life is maybe 7-8 years.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quick.
There.
Yeah.
Whoa, there he is out in Bowmanville.
Yeah, and this is, we turn him loose and let him be a lion.
Yeah.
Let him run, let him play, let him have a good life.
Well, when the end was close for Bongo, you bred him.
Well, we didn't. First of all, we had to get a lioness.
But meet the son of, no, a daughter.
Yeah, bring her in.
Daughter of Bongo.
Just pop her on the end of the tape.
Oh.
This is Marjan.
Hello, sweetie.
And she's a 13-month-old lioness.
13 months?
Oh, 13 weeks, excuse me. Thank you, Michael.
Small.
Yeah, and
Hi, sweetie.
she is delightful. Oh, look at that. You know why she's doing that? No. She smells the tiger.
Oh,
that's called a Fleming response, and it's very characteristic of big cats. But no, there she goes again. It isn't that she doesn't like you. She's just.
Oh, good.
It's almost like a wine taster. As they suck the bubbles through the wine in their mouth, she's getting all the aromatics that was in Robbie's fur, etc. That he left being up here. So yeah, no, we got a female, borrowed a female lioness from the Granby Zoo, and we put them together to see what would happen. And at the point,
so do you know the pedigree in this one? Do you have the genetic information?
No, no, she was just a nice lioness.
Yeah,
she really was. She was big, beautiful, nice face on her. There's not a lot of conservational effort spent on breeding lions, but honestly, because they're not an endangered species.
No.
Cheetahs, Sumatran tigers, Bengal tiger, that's where the efforts need to go. But
but let's bring Ernest Cooper into the discussion now. Now, Ernest is with the World Wildlife Fund, and he's concerned with the trade in exotic animals. And Ernest, fortunately, I guess lions aren't the object of so much trade. What is?
Oh, good Lord. There's tens of thousands of species, at the very least, that are heavily impacted by wildlife trade. The Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, which is an international agreement, lists some 35,000 species of animals and plants that are impacted by wildlife trade.
And what is it? The trade is for vanity. It's for sexual prowess. I mean, why do people do it?
Anything that you can make a buck off, basically. You know, and that so it can be ivory carvings, it can be furs, curios, stuffed animals, jewelry, food, timber, clothing.
I guess that's true, isn't it? I mean, plant life for sure. I know.
Absolutely.
Smuggling back the exotics from the mountaintops.
Oh yeah, there's a huge trade in orchids.
Orchids, yeah.
Orchids, and both legitimate, of course, but there is orchid poaching, and it's big business.
What comes through Canada?
Well, Canada is an interesting country because we're both an exporter of, for instance, furs and fishery products, timber products, and of course, as one of the richer nations on the planet, we're an importer. And hey, whatever people want, everything from traditional medicines to reptile skin products, carvings, lots of fisheries.
Where have you come upon this, Michael? In your
we get the phone calls. You know, I want a pet tiger, or you know, these guys who are trying to. Well, if you know, what happened if I didn't buy it but you loaned it? You know, and all this shady crap. It's a problem because on one level we have to work out how to sustainably harvest some of the Earth's resources. Sustainably, we have to do it ethically. We have to do it morally. We have to do it with good judgment. But when you have that capitalistic engine and what it does, you know, it's very efficient at what it does. And you know, and there's avarice human beings, and that's when the line gets crossed. And that's why you have something like CITES, the convention, which tries to say, okay, this is what you can do and this is what you can't do. So as an example, all our animals are legal to move anywhere in the world. We have import-export permits through CITES. To get those permits essentially took me the better part of 12 months. So yes, this animal's captive bred, here's your conservation, here's your research, here's your recreation, yada, yada, yada. And actually CITES doesn't do well with captive animals. They do great with the wild stuff because they get it. They understand what the parameters are. People break laws. You know, we speed, we do all sorts of things in our day-to-day lives that we shouldn't do. And when it gets organized, it can be extremely problematic. A lot of these third world, that's a poor term, and so some of the undeveloped world, they use wildlife as funding for wars. I mean, that's where a lot of ivory went in Africa, funding for wars. How do you solve that?
Well, when you see a sweet creature like this, you could see why someone with money and bad judgment would think it would make a suitable pet.
Absolutely, and they don't. No. Or it would look good on them. And, you know, we've got sheep, and they're good at producing wool. We can humanely look after sheep. We shear them once a year. You move ahead. I think that we are, as a civilization, we're going to have to make decisions that certain stuff isn't available to us. It's just that simple. So you cannot have snow leopard coats. That's not allowed. And it's just that simple. Now maybe we can revisit that in 50 years if we have an overpopulation of snow leopards. But right now there's certain things that, you know, corals, the orchids, I mean all this stuff, we just pet her, absolutely enjoy it. You know, she's a lovely animal. And ultimately, if you can use an animal like this and hold up, you know, this is not an endangered species. But you can say, look, as an entity unto itself, surely it deserves a life. Surely it deserves a quality life, and we have a responsibility as the most powerful species.
With the disappearance of habitat,
you got it.
Your habitat's a good one.
Yeah.
What's the most pressing issue that you're facing in your campaign?
Boy, where to start?
I'm sure.
Something that leaps right to mind is sea turtles. There are some 6 species of sea turtles around the world. They're all critically endangered, and you know, they're hunted for their meat, they're hunted for their shells, they're hunted for their fat, they're hunted for their skin. Their eggs are dug up, they're caught in shrimp traps, they're caught in drift nets. They get it from all sides, and that's a pretty pressing issue all around the world.
As a consumer in Canada, watching this show right now, what is one change that someone watching this show right now can do that will make a difference?
Easiest thing to do is don't contribute to the market. You know, if you're traveling and somebody offers you something, if it's made from an exotic species, don't buy it. You know, there is no wildlife trade if there's no market.
Michael, you have a zoo, and in some quarters, zoo is a dirty word. There's a stigma of zoo. You know, it's a roadside attraction that exploits animals.
We're bad.
Yeah, bad.
We're very bad. I don't buy into it. I'm a believer in captive conservation. We know that there's species, Nene geese, Arabian oryx, golden lion tamarin. These are reintroduced species that wouldn't be around except for captive breeding. Pair-David deer. We can do it. And I think as much as I believe in wildlife habitat and I believe in wild animals, even in spite of the best efforts of the World Wildlife Fund, of all these conservational agencies, across the last 20 years, we've lost habitat. We've lost species. We would have lost it quicker without them, absolutely. And I think we need to remarshal our resources and say, okay, look, this critically endangered stuff, let's snatch it. Let's get it out of the wild. Let's develop good conservational strategies for the long term. Now, you may lose the habitat, but at least then that you don't lose some of the genetic magic of it. Let's try to save the genetics, because the habitat's probably going to go. You know, and again, World Wildlife Fund is the world leader in this activity. They're superb at what they do. But in, you know, Operation Tiger, which has been a long-standing one and has been superbly done, tiger range has shrunk. Tiger numbers have shrunk. There's 1 billion people in India.
You know, I just don't think there's a realistic attitude that the media takes. I mean, the media seems to have an ideal version of wildlife, the place of wildlife on the planet. If you see them on television, they're running, you know, freely through the savannas, and you know, it just doesn't give one the sense of crisis that is upon us.
It is an absolute crisis. And as a quick aside, those documentaries that you see doing that stuff, they're all shot with captive animals. Yeah, I've got around 30 non-disclosure contracts at home that I said, you know, didn't use your lion, didn't use your cheetah. You know, because you can't get those kind of shots. And so I think, you know, that's a level of dishonesty. You know, they've got a product they have to sell, but we've got to start number one, trying to save it in the wild, but where we identify things that are going to go away, they're going to leave, then we've got to be able to implement, and World Wildlife Fund has done that with swift foxes in Canada, Vancouver marmot.
Yep.
These are good marriages of World Wildlife efforts, Canadian Wildlife Service, CAZA, Canadian Association of Zoos and Aquariums. So you've got the wild population, the remnant, but let's put some in captivity. We've done it with condors. Yep. It works. Black-footed ferrets.
See, those are the tougher issues, and not the glamour ones. I mean, we see you with the lion, the king of beasts, and so on, and that's what the spotlight's on. Sure. But it's not where it should be. But
if we can use her to say, "Look, guys, leave some of the world," that's the upside.
Oh, let me just pat her again.
No, she's lovely.
Michael, thank you very much. Ernest Cooper, thanks for coming by.
Great job, thank you.
What a great program. Thanks to these beasts. Good night, animal lovers. We're back tomorrow.